Welcome back, fellow Blue Noses, to the Free Blue Boys podcast. Thank you to all our viewers and listeners for joining us again. Of course, if you're new around here, please subscribe, like if you enjoyed today's video, and hit the bell notification button so you never miss a new upload from the Free Blue Boys podcast. And while you're at it, why not consider following us on our social media platforms, links to which are on the screen for now and down in the description below. It just feels really deflating, doesn't it? Yeah. Doesn't feel any better than it did last night, does it, or this morning?
No, it's very difficult period at the minute. I'm still obviously got the hangover of yesterday's 3-1 defeat against Middlesbrough. As you said, I'm very deflated. I think that was the first thing we said on the post-match work video yesterday, and it's a bit of no man's land now. It feels like a day out on Saturday against Charlton at the Valley. Obviously, we'll get to that. It's not completely gone mathematically, obviously, but I think the players have probably slipped away. There's just too many teams just ahead of us, around us, that would have to fail and we'd have to go on. I think we have to win 11 of the remaining 13, something like that. So it's a real kick in the balls is the best way to put it. Fair play to Borough, obviously. They're going to be well up there. They are now. But we've got a bit of the sort of deeper stuff to dive into, haven't we, in terms of not a game-to-game basis, but, and you guys have said it as well in comments on the post-match, that it's structurally and the setup and the manager's stubbornness, self-preservation to continue to do the same things and expect different results is what's cost us this season, hasn't it?
Well, to be honest, in the interest of positivity, I woke up this morning and I consulted my inner thoughts about it. And I thought, let's try and, I'm going to try and construct a more positive dialogue, really. And then I had a cup of tea and I thought, no, we're still shit.
Yes, pretty much, yeah.
There's no shade of coming out of that.
No, there is not.
Whichever way you kind of, you tilt the camera at it, it still looks the fucking same. Doesn't it?
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The optics are the same, no matter which angle you look at it from.
Yeah, and that's really, it's less than 24 hours later at the moment, so it's still a bit raw with us.
Yeah.
But, all the comments that you guys have been putting in, there's almost like the themes are the same.
Yes.
They're pretty universal. And as you've just said, it's getting much more so that Chris Davis is at the centre of it now.
Yeah.
And that, for him, is concerning. For us concerning as much as he seems to be the person who's... Is he culpable? Yes, I suppose he is in the end. He manages the resources. He's the guy that decides, in conjunction with the recruitment people, about who comes in. But more importantly, what do you do with the people that come in?
That's it. As on the back of the January signings, I know we've talked about this off camera, that it looked like we were recruiting, obviously with pace on the wings. John Solly's coming out. No, we didn't play yesterday. But on the back of that, you think, we might go a little bit more direct, be a bit more physical, battle a little bit more away. Obviously, that's mainly what's hurt us this season. But what's happened is since January, obviously, we have gone on a hell of a run. We can't forget that. All about the fact that the teams we were playing against were beneath us and even in the relegation zone. So you kind of expected the reverse happened, doesn't it? Because, for, 2/3 of the season, a lot of the teams we were playing away are higher up. Now it's gone the reverse. We're playing better teams at home and worse teams away. So kind of nothing's changed because nothing's changed. So that's the sort of thing.
No.
So, but, with the January signings, you think, okay, you can see maybe how it's going to be integrated. But we've just kind of, we've done nothing with it, basically. And it's a difficult position now because how do we turn it around? We don't. It's fundamentally
flawed, isn't it? We've taken one step forward and two steps back.
Yeah.
And we talked about this prior to coming on to the podcast tonight. Has Davis gone back into and reverted into his old ways again, where we're going to be high possession-based football, but really not a lot of penetration, not a lot of bearing down on goal and pressing teams like we had previously. And we saw it a little bit, although they were on a bad run at the time. We saw it when we played against Coventry. We shifted up a few gears. We showed we could mix it up, physicality, bring the ball forward, be positive, drive forward. Yep, there was some vulnerabilities there because we still conceded 2 goals, but we looked threatening.
Yeah.
We looked interesting to watch, actually, for a change as well. It was an entertaining game. But then we just reverted back to where we were before. Now, okay, maybe this wouldn't have felt as bad if we hadn't gone on a 9-match unbeaten run prior to the Millwall game. And then we were a little bit sort of a case of needing to have a positive result off the back of the Millwall game. So, and Millwall lacked that prior because they lost to Portsmouth the week before, didn't they? On the Saturday prior to the game we played them. But it just doesn't seem like it's changing at all.
Well, dare I say on the back of you saying there, Dan, that Davis reverted to his old way, and I thought about this the other day. It just seems like actually that's always been his way. not necessarily that he's reverting to his old ways. He's
diverted from it a little bit occasionally, and then he's gone back into his comfort zone.
Well, I think what happened is his job was heating up in terms of it being, potentially a risk. After the Watford game, he thought, maybe I have to be a bit more pragmatic here. He did that for a bit. He's like, right now we've got 9 games unbeaten. We're on the horizon for the playoffs. Let's, playing Middlesbrough, we've got the qualities to go toe-to-toe with them. No, we didn't do that. None. And there's a reason Middlesbrough are second and we're 12th at the minute and we're away from the playoffs, because they're just better at it than us. And, you said this the other day, that Davis comes from a background of analysing the opposition.
Yeah.
How... That astounds me. If that was your role prior to becoming a manager in the last 2 seasons, how are you not combating that with who you're playing against, particularly in the likes of Middlesbrough? Why didn't we do what Cobb did? I said this in the post-match yesterday. Where is that?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really kind of speak to highly of his previous career, does it? How much of a contribution was he making? I mean, that's only for the managers of those clubs to say, I guess. We'll never know. But this business about thinking you're going to go toe-to-toe, he's arrogant and foolhardy, whichever way you want to look at it, really naive. But I don't actually believe he's naive. I think he's got enough experience not to be like that. He's just too idealistic. That's the issue. And he's trying to implement a philosophy. And it's not just him. People at the top of the club, they're looking at it the same way. The whole Tom Brady thing, we said it before about, trust, go for the process. Right. You've got to keep just battering away at it. Eventually it'll happen. No, it doesn't. Life's about changes, isn't it? Changes of direction if things aren't working in the way you want them to. And I've said this before, and don't get me wrong, people who are watching, this isn't any kind of, I'm not condoning anybody reverting back to useless ball or rabbit ball or whatever. But again, I've been keeping running stats, who know this, of kind of how many points we're garnering from different levels of possession. And as it happens, we've had 10 games where we've had 60 or more percent of the ball. And there's 10 games where we've had less than 50%. And if we replicate that points per game, I think for the more than 60%, we'd end up on 52. So just above the relegation zone. And if we'd have played, if we get the number of points where we had below 50%, we'd have had 92. Points a game.
They must know that surely, right, so just off camera for the information of you guys, our producer Al is an Albion fan. So he's got no particular association with Blues, right? But he's just said on the back of it, without that even saying about those stats there, is that we look better and most threatening when we're counter-attacking. And we know that, obviously, but if somebody, of another team in this league is saying that about us, that says it all. We got about being an identifiable Birmingham City team. We've said this before, I don't care about identifying a certain way. Obviously, teams have got certain styles that are pretty consistent. But we're too reticent to divert from that at all for a consistent period, and that is exactly what's hurt us this season.
If you'd like to sponsor the Free Blue Boys podcast, you can get in touch via our social media platform or via our email address. Thanks very much. Now back to the podcast.
Yeah, so off the back of the, we talk about the possession there, Dad. Obviously, we win more games when we have less possession than the opposition. But this is astounding because Chris Davis in his pressers goes all the time about our home form and how, obviously, we know we're stronger at home, generally speaking. But since we beat Norwich at the back end of November, we've only won 3 home games out of 8. Lost 1 and drawn the rest. That isn't good form at home.
No, it's not. No.
We're getting a point or points, but it's not enough. That's not strong home form.
Particularly when we're touted as a strong home team as well. And
that's it.
Something there you mentioned, Joe, as well, about Chris Davis saying he wants a Birmingham City team and identity. I would argue it's the opposite now. We have no identity. None at all, really, because we're so predictable. And that, in a sense, people would say, oh, well, that's not identity. We know how you play. But it isn't. It's not a unique playing style. It's predictable.
Yeah.
And this is the problem. His reluctancy through ego, through arrogance, for whatever you may call it. And I suppose there's an element of this is we don't know what's pushing down on him from above. But it comes to the point now where, because you say, as you say, Dad, that he went into a period where it was like, I think it was you that said it, Joe, actually, where he went into a period where it was like, oh, my job's at risk, I've got to change it up.
Yeah.
And he's gone back into it again. It makes you wonder how much of a free rein he's actually got to make those decisions, because he's clearly got unwavering support from the board, TW and Tom Brady as well. But how does that transfer into the way that he manages the resources he's got and how he deploys the team and gets the team playing, or at least seemingly not playing at times?
That's a potentially scary thought, which I don't know if you guys watching have thought before, but we were talking about this yesterday when your dad like the no fear football as far back as the Rooney business. Yeah. You kind of put that down as okay, they're new into it, they don't know obviously the football and how it's played in this country and that sort of thing. They've got a business idea and they've just looked at Wayne Rooney, it's the public star and we'll put him in for the manager at Blues. You put that down to just a bit of a mistake and we move on and they learn from it. But you just said it there, Dan, about like maybe he's getting the orders and the pressure from above about no, this is the way and this is how we're going to do it and we're not going to worry about what anybody else does. This is a very competitive league. It's one of the toughest, if not the toughest league to get out of in the world.
Agreed. And
yet if he's having pressure from them, then that means that the fundamental issues actually go further than that. I'd like to think that's not the case, but it's a slightly scary thought. Underneath.
Yeah, I don't think it is. I think he fully believes, he's fully invested in the way we're playing. It just so happens it coincides with the way that they're doing it, really. I mean, I'm a layman, a non-expert in this field. I'm not a pundit, and none of us are like that. No. But management of kind of something, generally speaking, to me, is about understanding your resources, what you've got, what you haven't got, where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are, and deploying those resources to the optimal effect, right? It in a nutshell, it's that simple.
Yeah.
Now, if you think about Millwall, right, they've got resources in that can do the job that Alex Neil wants them to do. They're not going to try and be, fancy pants about the way they play, and they don't apologise for it. And I think for fair fucks to them for doing so. Yeah. That is management, and it's not deluding yourself in thinking that what you've got is somehow better than everybody who's done it better than you all season, like last night. Yeah. Don't get into that naive, delusional way of thinking. Personally, I don't think it's naive. Like I said before, I think it's arrogance.
Yeah.
I think it is like, no, I can do this. I've got a lot of experience. When he turned up for the manager's job in the first place, oh yeah, I've effectively done a manager's job before. No, you haven't, Chris. You haven't done a manager's job before because the buck's never stopped with you. Mm-hmm. It hasn't.
Yeah, you can hide behind in the background a little bit when things.
Well, this is the thing. When he was at Leicester with Brendan Rodgers, do you think they were interviewing Chris Davis after the match and not Brendan Rodgers, making him accountable?
Well, none of
no,
us.
He wasn't.
None of us chase after Ben Petty and Tom Huddleston, do we?
No.
Or Jonathan Grounds. None of us are saying let's go after them because they're always in the background, like all first team coaches are. He's not ever been a manager. So let's not delude himself and us into thinking that that's been the case. Yeah. He's learning on the job, but he isn't learning now. He's not. He was on about learning quickly enough before, but I've turned the page now. I don't think he's learning.
Just on the back of that, just to break it up, I suppose, a little bit, any positive that we didn't actually talk about yesterday on the post-match, which I did have to think about, is obviously Marvin Dux scoring another goal.
Yeah.
His goal involvements in the 26 games, I think
10 goals a season now.
10 goals in all comps and 9 in the league. And this is what I said before about, when we get to the lineups for the Charlton game, I definitely think he should be in there.
Agreed.
But he's pretty much red hot at the minute. You guys, I think, say in the comments as well, and we would agree, we don't feel like Dux contributes enough to the game, but he just comes up with the moments when you need it. He puts the ball in the back of the net, he slides people in, and him and Jay seem to work quite well in that 9 and 10. And, whilst obviously the result didn't go and the performance didn't go for us yesterday, that's been coming off really well.
Superb assist from Jay.
Fantastic, wasn't it? Yeah.
Really well worked goal. And somebody mentioned, obviously, and we alluded to it as well, that Boz didn't really have a good game. And it's been kind of inconsistent for most of the season. Bearing in mind, of course, he's an Nigerian international. But it was his movement that initially brought about the goal.
Quick turn, wasn't it?
Quick turn, fed the ball into Jay. Yeah. Jay's taking it around the other side of the centre half and then played it across the mark. And then Dutch nearly bagged the second goal. I think
he did.
You were right, Joe, in that it hit his standing foot.
Yeah.
But it troubled the goalkeeper enough for him to put it out for a corner. Yeah. But obviously then we got pegged back for the third and it was game over and all the mentality was lost. But I think Dutch has got to remain in the team for the Charlton game. Of course, this Saturday sees us travelling to the Valley, albeit it may not be a happy Valley for us. And of course, we see the return of an old friend in the Lynn Down Under, Lyndon Dykes, a man who's very much in form and renewed under Nathan Jones at Charlton. Yeah. And it just makes you feel a bit sorry for us, maybe as a club, that we let a player like that go, who I always felt was underutilised.
Yeah, we were all a big fan of him, weren't we, on here? And I think probably because at the time as well, when he was trying to prove himself at Blues earlier this season, we were trying to look at going a little bit more direct one, and he was in a way, from what we had, the resources that you talk about there, Dad. That's what we had, and that's what we tried to implement there. Yeah. But listen, he was obviously going to look for a transfer in January. Charlton, big club, and he's gone there and he's getting himself game time. 5 goal involvements already in the time that he's been there. He'll be a man to watch out for when we go to the Valley on Saturday, I think.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, I think that's a great start for him. To be honest,
I think so. Yeah,
getting 5 involvements, and we got his equaliser against Albion recently. Their form hasn't been that great recently, to be honest. I think they've lost a couple, drawn a couple. There's not a lot coming out. 2 points from 12. It doesn't mean to say it's going to be an easy fixture. That's all. It's always a tough game against Nathan Jones. We know it from last season. They got a draw at our place. They've done well. I think, to me, they look like a team that, in the end, will be perfectly fine.
I think
so.
They're staying enough ahead of the pace. 41 points at the moment. That gets them 7 clear at the bottom 3. I think they've just got enough nous. That's what they are. They know who they are. They know how they play. They might not have enough quality to kind of go to the next level, but it's good enough to consolidate. Yeah. I'm not saying you shouldn't be ambitious, but a promoted team should at least be saying, right, we can do that, and they are doing it at the moment. You ally that to like Sonny Carey's goal from midfield, and I think one of the the centre half stars, the defensive stars of the division, Lloyd Jones, who probably will transfer upwards over the summer, I would think.
I think so, yeah.
And they're a very viable team at this level, and they're going to be difficult opposition, especially if we're playing to their hands.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, they probably haven't got enough at the minute in terms of to go up to that next level. Obviously, that's something, if they stay in the league, I suspect they will. They'll look to do next season. But big physical side, Nathan Jones type team, isn't it, as we saw last season. Obviously, we went to the Valley last season and lost 1-0. One of the rare losses there. And they played the same way through and through, and they've done that this season. And I think, as you say, they've got enough nous there, probably just to remain in this league at this point. Tough test, though. In terms of their weaknesses, we've actually got the players to exploit that. Don't like pace on the wings, skillful players, and we've got that. Whether we use it to the best of our ability, I don't know. I mean, the ironic thing is, I can imagine us going there and actually having a reaction and actually going a bit more direct, ironically enough, just to sort of, give our fucking heads a spin once again and going, hang on a minute, he's doing it correctly now. Yeah. But, we don't know which boat you're in. And that's the problem, though. You can go there on the Valley on Saturday and we can play a certain way that we all think we probably should, but it will just revert back again. I think that's the issue. It's one of them, isn't it? I wouldn't say it's a dud because mathematically we can still get there. We'd have to go on a hell of a run. Of course, I'd love us to go there and win. That's the main objective. Obviously, we're going, aren't we? So it should be a good day out there and all the rest of it. But it just feels a little bit in no man's land, doesn't it, for the most part?
It does, really. It's like get excited for the battle for 10th, 11th and 12th.
Yeah.
That's basically the sole optimism of the season
Preston
now.
spot, basically.
It is. It's encapsulated now. Yep.
Basically.
Basically isn't it, really?
Yeah.
So, but as you say, Joe, their weaknesses are something we could potentially exploit, and it plays to our advantages. The other issue they have in Charlton is retaining possession. Yeah. But that invites another issue for us, and that we need to be competitive in the middle of the park, and we need to be winning second balls. Yeah. And against a physical side like Charlton that like to play the ball in the air as well, how easy is that going to be? Because
we need to have Solis back.
Well, we need to have Solis back. We must Solis quite a bit. I don't think that it would have made that much of a difference to the result last night against Middlesbrough, but I think it would have offered a little bit more because Iwata was basically in no man's land at times. His passing, his distribution was very poor at times. Yeah. He was pulled out of position quite a bit. It was just weak. Whereas Solis, I think, offers a little bit more, and he's quite good with the ball at his feet as well. Yeah. So that's potentially where that if we get it right, we might get some joy out of Charlton on Saturday at the Valley. But like you say, Joe, you just feel like we're going to be reverted back to the way we were against Middlesbrough, and it's going to be too easy for Charlton to play against us. But I just hope that isn't the case because, like you say, Joe, it's an upward battle now to get into the playoffs. It's statistically and mathematically as well. It is going to be very unlikely because no team's really done that before when they've been cut this far adrift. I mean, albeit it's only 8 points, but now we're on level goal difference. We've only won one more game than we've lost all season. I have drawn 10 the remaining of us games as well. You think it's very unlikely, but we should go in with the mentality, like you say, to win, and that's absolutely what you should be doing because it'll be a good day out for you and Dad. Obviously, I'm not able to join you guys on Saturday, but you just want to give it a good go now, just for our pride more than anything else. Yeah. But you just wonder how invested Davis is in doing that. I'd like to think that he would be, but it's how he goes about it.
I feel like not many his job rests on these remaining games.
I wouldn't say
But
so.
if you imagine that if we go on a pretty bad run, or even a mediocre one, that doesn't really fancy his chances in the summer, because the club will be going, not sure if you're the man to take us forward.
Particularly when they've thrown as much money at his transfer window as they already have.
Well, that's it. I mean, we know what the owners' expectations are. If we go on a good run, and we just fall short of the playoffs, you think, okay, maybe. I think a lot of you guys in the comments on the post-match and just in general this season obviously don't think he's the man for it. Obviously, I'll probably lean more towards that, not just at the moment, but the fact that he's not learning is the main concern.
How's it going, fellow Blues fans? Hope you're enjoying the channel so far and liking today's video. I wanted to take a minute of your time to talk about our sponsor, Bangla Lounge Indian Cuisine. For these three blue boys, Bangla Lounge has been the go-to choice to enjoy the very finest in Indian cuisine for over a decade now. Made with the freshest ingredients using authentic recipes, Bangla Lounge produces some of the best Indian cuisine that I've ever tasted. And if you enjoy takeaway at the end of the week, orders for collection and delivery with 15% discount, ordering direct through the website. If you enjoy a sit-down meal, you can enjoy this for a 2-for-1 offer, running up for Sunday to Thursday every week on main courses. Or if you're celebrating a special occasion, such as a birthday, Bangla Lounge offers a buffet restaurant every Sunday, running from 5:30pm to 10pm. So if you like a tasty curry or a sizzling tandoori, get yourself down to Bangla Lounge Hell's Owen. Links in the description below of our video. And if you would like to fine dine after a win in the B9. Thanks very much. Now back to the podcast.
Just thinking about in terms of lineups as well, obviously Beadle didn't have the best time or game last night against Middlesbrough. I think you touched on what Chris Davis said, didn't you, Dad, about what he had to say about James Beadle.
Yeah.
In that, I don't know if you guys would have seen this, but basically Davis' consensus was that he was asked about Beadle's footwork when he has the ball and playing us, a certain way to get us up the pitch. But he basically reckons that it's a lot of the time because the outfield players aren't in the correct positions. I think it's a little bit of both. Beadle wasn't comfortable and isn't comfortable with the ball at his feet. And that's why, in terms of lineups, linking it to that, I think Allsop should return away from home.
I'd agree.
Long balls out wide, get at them that way. I think that's what I would go with.
I would.
But on the back of that, lineups.
Yeah, I would. I mean, I'm going to go into what I would like to see. To be honest with you, I think he'll try and play football against them. He'll try and do the possession thing in the sideways and the backwards because he'll think they're not good enough to match us on that.
Yeah.
But he'll, Nathan Jones will watch the Millwall game, a replay of that, and think, well, that's what we'll do.
Yeah.
It could very easily work, because we're not very good with it.
No.
But my view of the team would be, I'd agree with the Allsop thing. I'd start with that. I think Laird's got to come in. He's back, he's fit. Let's give the guy a go, even if it's only for kind of, the first half or the first hour. Clara, I'd probably give Panzo another go just about. And Kai, because apparently he's in agonising pain still with his shoulder, which, he mentioned, he referenced in his post-match interview. But I think, again, I think for consistency purposes, having him there. It's good to see Lee Buchanan back for the under-21s last night as well.
Good to see him back.
Yeah, it's Blues did beat Middlesbrough, actually, by the way.
We did, yeah.
Yeah.
We did?
Yeah.
At the Riverside?
Yeah, we did, yeah.
Amazingly, yeah.
Never happens in the first team. I'd pull a bit of and you'll see a pun in it in a minute, a left field selection. As far as the front players are concerned, I'd like to see Vicente on the right because I think he's a right kind of player for us away.
Yeah.
On the left, despite the fact that we've got two left wingers, I'd actually like to see Jay.
Yeah, I remember you saying this.
Yeah, I'd like to see him over there because I think think about the number of assists that he's got. He's got 6 now. That's more than Dimmy or Patrick Roberts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And okay, Dimmy's played less games.
But then did they come from the left-hand side when he was playing there? That's the thing. Is he getting those assists because he's in another position?
I think he's had some from there, but not all. I think obviously last night's was from the right, wasn't it? But I think it's just that kind of football intelligence of being able to make those runs in the first place.
Yeah.
Offers maybe more than a winger because he's more accurate with his shooting. And I think he struggles against... He's going to struggle against Charlton's big men, isn't he, really, And it gives him a bit more option to run at a fullback who won't be quite as physical, if you like. Dutch in the 10, and August Prisk in the 9 to give us that, that kind of outlet, up front, a target man, a focal point. I think, to me, that's a team that will allow Charlton to have possession. They won't really know what to do with it because they're not used to it. They'll get frustrated. The crowd will get frustrated. We hit them on the break. You know, don't be afraid of letting other teams who aren't particularly good at possession. Don't assume automatically, oh right, they're not, you know, they don't have possession, so they're not gonna, you know, they're not gonna worry about it. They will. The home crowd will put them under pressure eventually.
Who is your two in the middle?
In the middle,
Yeah, because you went centre halves, then you went. Unless there's no one in the middle, we'll just.
I'll leave that actually. Yeah, I'd put what's his name there? I'd put James Beadle there.
Yeah. And should we get Lee Camp back?
Get him back as well, yeah, why not? Yeah. Actually, to be fair, I think maybe we should just play him in 9. That might be the idea, really.
Yeah.
Solis and Pake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got to be Solis and Pake. I just think because Pake links together a lot more than we even notice.
Yeah.
We're all moaning about him at times, aren't we? You don't realise how valuable he is when he's not around. He's gone flat at the minute.
This league he's level, I would say. He's not a top Championship midfielder in the 6th areas or anywhere really, even a right back. You know, he did a fantastic job for us in League One. We played a certain way and nobody could match us, and that's why we, you know, lack of a better term, we pissed it. But you know, in this league, he's not up to scratch for where we want to be, which is realistically compete with the top 2. That's what any team should strive for in this league. I think I'd actually go with exactly your 11 there, Dad, as far as what we should do. But on the reflection of that, I think he will stick with Dimmy on the left-hand side.
I do.
And I think he will play Marvin Dutch in the 10.
Yeah.
And I think he'll actually start Jay again in the 9. And I think Roberts and Vicente, it's here or there. I don't really know. I think he's been playing Vicente a little bit more away from home. I do think he will go with the 2 in the middle of Solis and Pake. And then Carl Wagner obviously is a little bit of a question mark over him. Obviously he's playing with a bit of pain at the minute. Could arguably put Jack Robinson back in at left back. Or obviously you can mess about with Boz and Laird at left and right back there. You can chop and change it. Panzo, I would agree. I think he deserves another shot in there. Obviously didn't have the best game, but nobody did against Middlesbrough. But in hindsight, he's done pretty well for us since he's joined. And then for me, it has to be Allsop in goal, realistically.
Yeah.
Realistically, I'd say so. But realistically, and what our expectation is and what we know Davis will do is another thing.
Yeah.
I think he'll revert back to Beadle again, whether that's for him to allow him to build his confidence back up and it's a different opposition. Maybe he'll do that. I'd like to see Laird start at right back. He's only had a few minutes, obviously, came on for the last 7 minutes plus added against Middlesbrough. But I think it would offer us a different dimension. I see him a more physical player than Boz. He's still got the pace, but the problem is that Laird's made of glass, isn't he? So, but you've got to give the lad an opportunity now that he's fought well back to be fit and playing again, which is good. I think the centre 2 will be Clara and Panzo again. I think give Panzo another go.
Yeah.
You've got to bear in mind that although he didn't have a very good game at all against Middlesbrough, he's playing what is essentially the best footballing team in the division.
Yeah.
So you've got to take that in mind. I think he'll start out with Wagner on the left unless he's taken a knock, in which case I think it will be Jack Robinson because he'll offer a different dimension as well with long throw-ins. Practically the only player who we know who can do that, at least that gets us up the wing and get some of those throw-ins up towards the likes of Dimmy.
Even across.
Well, even
into
across.
the box.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah,
I agree with you both. It should be Solis and Pake in the centre. I think they just work a lot better. Iwata, I think, needs to come out of the team now for a little while.
At least
he's a little bit spent. At least Saturday, particularly being away from home as well, against a team who we know how they're going to play. And I think somebody like Solis will offer a better opposition to their presence in the midfield, and will keep things more stable, break the play up as well, like he's supposed to do, and he has been doing very well at doing that as well in this division since coming on in January. I think Dimmy will start out on the left. I think he'll go with Vicente on the right, just because he seems to favour him more going away from home, and it would suit playing against a team that struggle with wide players and pace, and it's a more direct way of going at teams than it is with Patrick Roberts. But you've got the quality to come off the bench in Roberts, and obviously holds up the ball up very well and plays some excellent balls into the box as well, be it all half the time, and more than half the time we don't get on the end of them anyway. I think again it will be Dutch in the 10 and Jay in the 9.
Yeah, I think it could be any of those. Well, realistically, 2 teams, because we pretty much said the same, didn't we, Dad?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's a Lee Clark bingo at this point, but I mean it might as well be. But there's a few. Obviously, Ibrahim Osman. Obviously, he could potentially start as well. Obviously, he's been a bit iffy in the last few games, but he's another potential one. I just want to see us react. I mean, you expected a reaction last night against Middlesbrough. We did for the first 10 minutes, but they went a goal ahead, and then we just went flat and the heads dropped, I think. But we have to react, despite the fact that the playoffs are probably not reachable now. It's pride, like you said, Dan, and we got to play for that.
We have.
Score prediction wise, I think I'm going to go with a 0-1 Blues.
Oh,
Yeah, I think it will be a tight game. I do think that we are going to react, despite the fact that we didn't do that on Monday night. I think the players will be fired up. And in terms of goal scorer, I'm going to go with August Priske.
very good. Let's hope that's the case, because it'd be nice to get him to get off the mark.
Yeah,
really.
it would.
Wouldn't it be great for him?
Yeah. I think we'll stop the rot, but only just. Mm-hmm. And I base that on the team that I think that Chris Davis will pick, not the one that I talked about. I just think he'll try and out-football them, and I think we'll miss an opportunity here potentially to catch them off guard, because they wouldn't expect that, would they? The more direct approach. I think it's going to be one each.
Okay.
And I think I might go for a Kyle Wagner goal on this one, though, actually. Perhaps from a free kick.
Maybe.
Be all right,
Nice.
yeah.
Be all right.
What about Charlton goal scorer, the man himself?
Yeah, that's just written in it.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
is.
Just
You
written.
feel like it is, isn't it, if Charlton are going to score?
Yeah.
But I'd agree with Dad here. I think we'll only just about stop the rot. I think it'll be 1-1, and I'm going to go with my goal scorer as Marvin Dutch grabbing his 10th league goal of the season.
Well, hopefully we don't go there and lose. Get something at least. I think we're just looking for a reaction, aren't we?
I think that's all we
It's
need
we
to
can
look
do.
now. Just looking like there's going to be some more application, there's going to be more fight, more grit, and we're actually going to get at the opposition and play to our strengths and not just try and be a Birmingham City side, to quote CD.
And I'd like to win just because if you do that, it gives you a better reason to go on the piss in London.
We're going to do that
Oh, yeah,
beforehand
it does,
anyway, aren't we?
Yeah, that's true.
That's the thing. Like, we were already prepared for the fact that it might be an absolute shit show. So we're going to...
But the outcome,
Get to
either
London
way,
and-
whether we win, lose or draw, is probably going to be the same for you two anyway.
Yeah,
Because you've got
that's
a
it,
good
yeah.
excuse for either, really, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't make the most of the day out, the thing is you've travelled, you've had a 6-hour round trip, haven't you, for, be fucking miserable. Well, I'm not having that on a Saturday, thank you.
Yeah.
So, we've got to make the most out of it.
Absolutely. Well, fingers crossed we pick up the 3 points anyway. Blues fans, as always, in the comments section, let us know what you think your starting 11 will be going into this Saturday's away fixture at the Valley against Charlton Athletic. What do you think your score line will be at full time, and who do you think your goal scorers will be for Blues? And will the Lindown Onder grab a goal against his former side? Who knows? Fingers crossed not, although we do love him. Gentlemen, as always, thank you very much for your contributions. Enjoyable as always.
Yep, good stuff.
And as Blue Noses, if you enjoyed today's video, please do give it a like. Drop a subscribe if you're new to the channel around here, and hit the bell notification button so you never miss an upload from the Free Blue Boys podcast. Please follow us on our social media platforms, links to which are on the screen for you now and down in the description below. But until next time, fellow Blue Noses, stay true to the Royal Blue and keep right on.
Keep right on.